Hey guys, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Today's Friday, March 2nd. Market's going to open in about 7 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick, and then we will get started shortly. Just a couple things here to update. 6:23 right now. I got that done. A few more things right here. And should be good to go. All right, perfect, guys. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium, and then we will get started with our analysis shortly. Perfect. All right, looks like people are making their win right now. So I'll get a few moments for people to join. And we should be good to go. Perfect. Let me get this link sent out to the group over here. And one last place for me to post this up. All right, guys, looks like majority of you guys are starting to make your way in right now. So I'll get a few more moments before we start analysis so that everyone's here. Happy Friday, guys. Today's not even Friday. Today's Thursday. For some reason, I thought today was Friday. Today's Thursday, March 2nd. It is 6:25 right now. Market's going to open in about 5 minutes. For some reason, this whole day, I thought today was Friday. But it's all good. We have one more day after this. Let's see who's here so far. Morning, Johnny. Morning, Martha. Morning, Peter. Morning, Søren. Morning, Gactive. Morning, Karen. Morning, guys. So, all right, market is opening in 4 minutes, guys. So let me just finish posting this up to our Instagram real quick, and then we should be good to go. It feels like Friday for some reason. I was looking at the calendar earlier, and I was wondering if there was news this morning. And I thought there was news, and there was. I think there was unemployment claims. Yeah, there was unemployment claims today because I was looking down Friday and I was like, I was pretty sure there was something happening pre-market, and it was actually today. Yeah, so we have unemployment claims right here at 5:30. Price actually dropped when that news event came out, which is not a surprise because typically the market does the opposite. So I think there may be some sort of correction on open. So we'll see how that plays out. But other than that, we'll just take the market as it comes. All right, links posted up right here. And I think we should be good to go. Hey, AR, how's it going? Morning. All right, solid. So, All right, guys, looking over here at the chart, I just have this setup right here. I'm going to use this for the overall view of US30, guys, or YM, whatever you guys want to call it. If this is too small and it's too hard for you guys to see, just let me know. I think this is a good way to look at all of the time frames just to see how everything's looking so that we can make sure that everything's lined up in the proper direction. Obviously, I'll go back to the smaller ones over here to have a closer view, but I think having all time frames up, the higher time frames and the lower time frames really makes a difference so that you can pick and choose, which direction price is going. Because realistically, if you have a good idea as to the direction of US30, you can take a lot of speculative moves in that direction, just let the trade run. Because typically price will continue pushing in that direction, right? So looking over here on an overall view, guys, looking over on the, we'll go from top to bottom. So on the 2-hour time frame over here, price is currently bearish because price is below the pivots, trend meter is red, pivots are angling down. Looking over here on the 1 hour, you can see that price is currently neutral because price is in between the pivots. Pivots are going sideways. However, the trend meter down below is red. So it might be coming, right back down. Looking over here on the 30, you can see price is bullish because price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, and the pivots are angling up. Same with the 10-minute over here, price is above the pivots, trend meter is green, and the pivots are angling up. However, if you look over here on the 5-minute and the 1-minute, price is either below the pivots here on the 1 minute or in between, with pivots either going sideways with the trend meter also at green. So as you guys can see here, this kind of helps when you have 6 different time frames, short time frames and long time frames down here to see where price is going, right? So that you can have a better idea as to where price is likely to push. So looking at this here, price looks like it may temporarily be going up, or it was temporarily going up, but then now it's coming back down because the 1 minute is now back below the pivots. However, the 5, 10, and 30-minute are still up, while the 1 hour over here is trying to get up. The 2 hour is still below, so you can see on the long-term price looks like it may continue dropping down. However, short-term here, price can go either way. So I'll keep this up right here when we're looking at a bigger picture of like how US30 is moving. Once we have an idea as to an overall trend, from there, we can go ahead and break down to, the lower time frames just to see where we'll make our entry points. So if you guys like this, great. If you guys don't, just, go ahead and put your input in the chat. But I think this is very useful to identify the bigger direction or the entire direction. And then from there, we can always go down to the smaller time frames here to look for entry. So, all right, guys, market is now open. I'm going to go ahead and mark up opening price right here. All right, so that's opening price right there. We had news over here at 5:30. I think it's a big candle. There you go. So we have more news over here at 7:30, and I think that's about it. I'll check my FX book as well to confirm. I'll go over here real quick, update that. All right, we got news coming up over here at 7:30. So I think having the, the 6 charts up will definitely allow us to not jump into positions too early, right? It'll help us like really have to think about it before taking anything, because obviously overall trend is going to be one of the key things to look out for. Let me check my FX book real quick, refresh this. Yeah, news at 7:30, and that's about it. Okay, perfect. So it looks like we're good to go. I'll go back over here to the overall charts. Gosh, yeah, units at 6 charts on one screen may be confusing, but I think I will get used to it. Yeah, because the 6 charts here are really just to look at direction, right? If price is going down on all 6 time frames, odds of price going down further is going to be a lot easier to identify, right? So for example, here, we already knew price was going to be bearish because the 2 hour here has been bearish, right? Look at the 1 hour, 30-minute, 10-minute, 5-minute, and 1 minute time frames. Now it's bearish across all the time frames, right? So now that you have this confirmation that price is bearish pretty much across all the time frames, odds of you taking a sell here and having luck is very likely, right? So I think this here may be useful as a majority, but we'll see where this ends up going. I think price will come down at some point because, as you guys can see, price here has been bearish. We looked over here on the 2 hour going down from a top-down analysis. 2 hours bearish, 1 hour is bearish, 30 minutes back to swinging down to bearish. 10-minute here is bearish, 5 minutes bearish, and the 1 minute here is also now bearish. We're getting a nice wick rejection off the pivots right here on the 10-minute, 5-minute, and 30-minute time frames. Also, actually on all the time frames. So we have a nice bearish bias here on all the time frame, or nice bearish rejection off all the time frames except the 1 minute here. So odds of it coming down are pretty likely, right? Because you can see that we have the nice wick rejection off the pivot here on the 2 hour, same on the 1 hour, same on the 30-minute, same on the 10, and same on the 5. So, I mean, basically what you'd be waiting for is you'd be waiting for this candle here to close. And then once the candle here does close, you can pretty much ride that down further. And then that's just like the direction of price. So we'll see where this ends up going. I mean, obviously there's no room for entry right now. Here on the 1 minute, we would be looking for a buy signal to look for a momentum scalp failure, but we just don't have that yet right now. I'll go ahead and turn on my alert so that if we do get an alert on those time frames, we can go ahead and take a look. But it looks like right now we're pretty much just waiting for something here to play out, but we just don't have anything yet. But overall, I think our direction here is going to be bearish, as you guys can see. Looks like it's probably going to be bearish, but I mean, with where price is currently going right now, there's no obvious direction yet. I mean, price looks like it might be coming down, but there's no confirmation at the moment. So I think main thing to look out for would be this wick rejection off this 5 minute, which closes in about 40 seconds. So no room for entry, but I think price will make its way down. Let's see, Maria said, had a TV monitor besides my laptop to project the TV, and it's okay to have. Gotcha, Maria. Okay, perfect. Let's see, Deshaun said possible SR ejection and double body. Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if this here closes with a wick rejection off the 5 and 1, odds of it dropping lower are possibly very likely. So we got the wick rejection over here off the 5. Let's see. All right, so price did drop down pretty nicely right there. So we had the wick rejection right there. If you guys wanted to take a speculative sell, like I've been mentioning to you guys in the past, we had the wick rejection right here off the 5, wick rejection right here on the 1. You can see if you took that sell off the wick rejection, you would have gotten easy full TP right there. So this is what I'm talking about with it having like it being useful to us, because you can see the wick rejections right there. There's pretty much a wick rejection on every time frame, but you had this one over here on the 5 minute close, here on the 1 minute close. These close on the same candle. So if you took that for a sell right there, would have been an easy win. And here we go, as price drops lower. So what I was talking about right here, guys, is you guys can see the wick rejection right here on the 10, wick rejection here on the 5. Or sorry, this is the higher time frames. Here's lower. So wick rejection here on the 10, wick rejection over here on the 5, and also wick rejection right here on the 1, which is yeah, it looks like this thing's dumping pretty heavy now. But yeah, we're looking for a buy signal here, guys. So as you guys can see here on the higher time frames, I mean, on all the time frames, basically we have a sell bias. So in order for us to have an entry here, we need to get a buy signal on the 1 minute time frame. So that's basically what we're looking for here. We're looking for a buy signal to come up here. Once we get that buy signal, we can start looking for possible entries. At the moment right now, obviously there's no entries for us to take. Price is kind of just bouncing around. But if and when it does get to that point, you know, we'll be looking for obvious sell. Oh, gotcha. Thanks, Eunice. So Eunice, thanks for letting me know. There's actually no sell signal here on the 10 minute yet. So there will be an entry for a momentum scalp failure, but for a momentum scalp variation, a momentum scalp, there won't be an entry until we get a sell signal here on the 10 minute. So that's the one thing that you guys want to be careful for here. However, for the momentum scalp failure, there's no need for a sell signal. So you can find that entry there. I personally would probably not take it for, you know, obvious reasons, but that's something that you could possibly look out for. Another thing that you guys can look out for too is for variations, right? So if you guys know the V1, V2, V3 variations, if you see a multiple confluence or you see a V1 on pretty much 2 or 3 timeframes, odds of it coming down further are very likely. We have a V1 right here pending on the 2-hour time frame. It has 2 hours 22 minutes left on it. Say for example, you get a V1 here on the 2-hour, you get a V1 over here on the 1, and a V1 on the 30. Odds of this dropping for a heavy drop are very likely because it's a reversal pattern. It's not necessary to look at it like that, but I mean, obviously, we'll just use this for bigger picture. And right now we currently have a sell bias, just looking at all these timeframes here. So there's still no entries for us at the moment. There's a sell signal right there pending on the 10. So if that there closes, perfect. We'll have our alignment of momentum. This candle here has about 1:20 left on it, so it's got some time, but I think eventually it will close. Hey, Brock, how's it going? Morning. Morning, Gary. Daniel mentioned the sell breakout was a full TP. If you guys take the sell breakout, great. If you guys did it, it's okay, but just want to give you guys a heads up. Thanks, Daniel, for the update right there. So if you guys took the sell, you can see we have a sell momentum right here. Market open right here at 6:30. Looks like entry could have been either here on the 31 candle, or it could have been down here. So if you took this one up here, looks like this one would have hit TP already. Yeah, blasted right through it. If you took this one down here, it's probably still running. So just depending on which one you guys took, looks like Daniel identified this one right here, which is fine. It's a little, the wick on the bottom was kind of big, but it wasn't like huge. So it's still doable if necessary. All right, so we still got the bearish bias right here. So looking over here on the 10 and the 5. So we got the wick rejection here on the 10. What we might get here on the 5 is we might get a retracement to the upside, and then possibly another drop back down. So this is kind of what I see happening over here. Price will probably retrace up on the 5, retest the pivot, bounce off it, and continue dropping back below. It's one thing I see happening here. The 1 minute over here is rejecting off the pivot, but there's no confluence with it. So not exactly one that I would just take right then and there. Probably wait for the 5 here to confirm. Yeah, because these are just too far off. When I'm looking for those wick rejections and confluence, guys, I want it to be right next to each other. So if I'm looking for one here on the 1, I want to make sure that it rejects off the 5. So I'm looking for a 5 and 1, or I'm looking for a 10 and 5, or I'm looking for a 30 and 10, etc. Actually, I'm not even looking at these two. I'm looking at either these two, like 2 on top or 2 on bottom. And that's not necessarily for entry. It's just looking if you're looking for a quick push for a speculative move, obviously you want to line it up with a close time frame. Typically the shorter time frames, because you're going for a quick push, so you want to make sure that you have that little confirmation, within the 2 time frames, that you can catch that push quickly, not into any drawdown. All right, so the volatility here is not too crazy. It's moving kind of slow actually, but we are still getting some direction here. So as I mentioned earlier here on the 5, that's kind of what I'm waiting for here to happen. You can see price is kind of far below. I'm looking for it to retrace up, reject off the pivot, and then come back down. I'm looking for a confluence here on the 1 minute as well. Sell signal here on the 10 still didn't close. We technically don't have any entry just yet. We have a pending buy signal here on the 1. So if that buy signal there closes, possible momentum scalp failure. All right, so for this here on the 5, I'm still waiting for price to swing up a little bit, swing up, reject off the pivot, and then come back down lower. But there just isn't anything there at the moment. All right, so this is a momentum scalp failure right here, guys. I'm not taking this position here. I mean, obviously we need the sell signal here on the 10 to get a momentum scalp variation and momentum scalp, but this is a momentum scalp failure right here. If you guys are looking to take it, it looks like it's about to hit TP, and it just did. I didn't take that trade there, so it's not going to count, but if you guys took it, it looks like it did hit its full TP right there. Or sorry, never mind, take that back, guys. The signal like disappeared. I swear there was a signal here when it closed, and then it just disappeared on the last. Yeah, that's a trip. Yeah, the signal there didn't close. So you can see here that it was pending, and then it didn't end up closing. Yeah, so no momentum scalp failure there, guys. I mean, we're pretty much still waiting for some sort of confluence here. Yeah, Natasha said no momentum scalp, but it was a high-low quick scalp. Yeah, I saw that with the high right there. Quick 100 pips. All right, so I think price will keep retracing here on the 1 minute until the 5 gets up to the pivot here. So you can see the 5 minute here is still it's a bit away from the pivots. So what I'm expecting here is I'm expecting price to push up and reject off the pivot, right? Come back up, reject off the pivot, and then swing right back down. That's pretty much what I'm looking for here. Until we get that, you know, there still isn't any room for entry here. Because I think price will keep retracing up. Yeah, Barack said 6 charts as confluence is not bad. Not good for him because he's running the session from the tablet, but it'll definitely help to see what each time frame is doing. Yeah, no, definitely, Barack. Hey, nice. How's it going? One question from Vince. Vince is asking for the momentum scalp failure. It says confirm trend on the 1, 5, and 10, but the trend on the 10 is blue. Okay, so if you look at the trend, it isn't, when it says trend, Vince, it doesn't mean trend meter, it just means trend in general. So in order to confirm the trend, there's three different things to look for. I'm gonna maximize this real quick. To identify the trend, you want to make sure that price is either below or above the pivots. Right here, price is below the pivots, right? So that's going to be 1 point for bearish. The trend meter down here is blue, so this is neutral. That's 0. You can see that the pivots right here are angling down. That's another point for bearish, right? So you have 2 points for bearish, 1 point for neutral. It's bearish neutral. So yeah, whenever it says trend, it's not based off the trend meter down here. It's based off the different parameters. So when you're looking for trend, you guys want to look to see where price is when it's below or above the pivots. That's going to indicate whether it's bullish or bias. With regards to the pivots, the trend meter is going to be number 2. Or actually, trend meter is like the last one because the trend meter is the laggiest one, right? You guys will see here that price has been dropping from this side here, but the trend meter is still blue. So I wouldn't base majority of it off the trend meter. I would base it off like everything as a whole. So if you have more bullish confluences, then, you know, maybe price will be bullish. If you have more neutral confluences, then price will be neutral, and then vice versa. If price is below and pivots are angling down, then you can identify that it's bearish. So that's what you would confirm if you're just looking at the 3 time frames. But I'm looking at it from a bigger picture where I'm looking at the 2 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute. These are the longer time frames. And then these are the lower time frames over here, right? So if I look at all of these all together, you can see that price is below the pivots on all 6 time frames. So it gives me a better picture to understand, like, okay, short-term price will probably come down. Long-term price will also come down too. So if I take a sell here, odds of it hitting are, you know, more likely than not. So that's why I'm looking at pretty much all of these here. But yeah, for the specific strategy, you're mainly focusing on the 3 here, because this is what really matters, since you're going for those quick moves. But if you tie in the quick moves plus the long moves, you know, odds of it playing out are more likely than not. So that's why we're using those there. All right, so let's see. Price still hasn't pushed up. As you can see, price is just going back and forth here on the 1 minute. There's no direction at all. Price is just going sideways. The 5 minute over here as well. So I think what I'm looking for here is I'm still looking for price to retrace up and test the pivot there, right? Until we get that, there's probably going to be no direction right now. We have news over here coming up at 7:30. So we still got some time right here. It's 6:48 right now. So we have about, a little less than an hour. But we'll see as this continues to push around right here. Price is pushing back up here on the 1 minute. So what we'll do here is we'll pretty much keep the 6 time frames up first, just to identify, when there's going to be any possible entries. And then once we see any possible entries here, we'll go ahead and switch over to the 3 charts over here, and we can look for any actual entry. The 5 minute here is still pushing up. As I mentioned before, guys, my target price point is going to be the pivots right there. I want price to really push up, reject off the pivot, and then possibly come back down. If we get that right here for a double wick rejection, then I think price will correct back to the downside. Let's see. Vince is asking if there's news at 7. Let me check the calendar. You might be right. I didn't see anything there for US though. So there is news at 7 o'clock, but it's for Europe news. It's UK news, GBP. Yeah, I saw that earlier too, but not US. That's not really a big impact for us here. All right, so price is pushing back up still here on the 5. Price is still not at that price point. So again, what I'm looking for here, guys, is I'm looking for a rejection off these pivots, because once we get that rejection there, it's probably going to confirm back below. We got this 10 minute over here that might close with this sell signal. I know it's invalid, but it's still fine. We just need that sell signal there to confirm momentum. All right, so we actually got a wick rejection off here, a wick rejection off here too. And if we get a wick rejection off the 1, it's probably going to continue dropping a little lower. So I'm going to be looking at that to see where it ends up, pushing down to. So if it closes below the pivots, it's probably going to drop from this point. It's probably going to be the high point, and it'll probably drop at least, 100 pips or so down below. So it looks like, let me see, we got the wick rejection right here. We got the wick rejection right here. Looks like price did drop a little bit, but I don't know how much. Feels to the extent of, 100 pips. But okay, so the sell signal here didn't close though on the 10. This is mainly what we were looking for. The sell signal unfortunately didn't close, so it does not look like we have that confirmation yet. However, we do have rejections across all these shorter time frames, so I think price will be making its way back down. Hopefully, within the next couple of minutes or so, but I mean, who knows? There's no guarantee it's going to happen yet. I think once we get a sell signal here, it's going to be a better confluence, but until we get that, I think price will just keep bouncing around. We also have news coming up at 7:30, so we got a lot of time until then. But right now, you guys can see there's pretty much no direction here on US30. We do have an overall sell bias, but I mean, for the most part, price is just going back and forth. We have a pending buy signal here on the 5. If this is the case here, then we might not even have any more bias for a sell, because we need a sell, pretty much a sell momentum signal across the board here. So I was hoping this month was going to start and become directional, but realistically, there's still nothing going on here. It's the same thing as it's been from February. Let me go ahead and market open over here. Yeah, there's like literally no direction. First that. 2 o'clock right there. Opening price. So it looks like price pretty much came back up to opening price right here. And then now it might be coming back down. It came back to retest it. It might fake out right here and then make its way back down. But I mean, for the most part, there's just no direction right now, unfortunately. Yeah, price came up right there. This is opening price. Or sorry, opening price is a little below. Right there. Yeah. So here's a clean chart of the 1 minute. As you guys can see, there's no direction. Price faked out to the top right here, faked out to the bottom, came back up. Now it's back at opening price. So it's just going sideways right here. Pretty much nothing to, I mean, there's literally nothing to take right here. Let's see if there's anything else here that I'm missing. Let's see, question from Vince. Vince is asking, can you explain if the buy signal at 648 is a momentum scalp failure or not? Let me check on the 1 minute over here. So let me take a look real quick. 648. So it looks like it could have been, but here, let me see. Because so looking over here at the direction, Vince, I don't know if it would be, because if we look over here at the current candle for the 10 minute, now it's not really bearish, because remember earlier price was below the pivots and the pivots were angling down. If you look over here on the 10 now, price is actually in between the pivots and the pivots are going sideways and the trend meter is green. So right now, if you look at this, how it is at the moment, there's no overall trend, because earlier this was below the pivots, right? We were in this red candle earlier when we analyzed it for you. So it was below the pivots. The trend meter was green, but it was below the pivots and the pivots were angling down. But on these last two candles right here, so this one right here, price was in between. And then on the current one right now, it's in between as well. So I don't think this right here would be considered a bearish bias anymore for the 10 minute, because there's no confluences, right? Trend meter is green, price is in between the pivots, that makes it neutral, and price is now well, it was in between the pivots, which made it neutral as well. So there would only be one confluence for a sell bias with regard to the trend. Everything else is bullish. So it'd be like, it would just be totally neutral, because even if price was below, pivots should be going sideways and the trend meter is green. So I wouldn't consider this overall sell. Same with the 5 over here. So 5 over here is the same thing, right? It's in between the pivots, trend meter is blue, and the pivots are going sideways. So for this specific entry right here, I wouldn't have taken it, because the first requirement for that to confirm the overall trend. Scalp failure. And this is why I'm putting all the charts on the screen, right? Like this way, so that you guys can see it better. Because if you guys are just focused on only the 1 minute, you guys are like not paying attention to the 5 and 10. So this is why this is a lot easier to have all these on the chart, because you're like, okay, you can figure out what the overall time frame or the overall trend is on the lower time frames. Plus you can identify it on the higher time frames down here. So yeah, going back to that question with Vince, this here would technically be an entry if there was an overall trend, but since there's no overall trend, we just can't take that right there. Like it would be okay if this here wasn't bearish, but everything else was bullish. I mean, sorry. So it would be okay if this here was neutral or bullish, but everything here was bearish, right? But right now, these are both like pretty neutral. They've been pretty neutral for the last, looks like 20 minutes here on the 10 minute since open. So yeah, at the moment, there's just no trend right now. That's why I haven't really been looking for anything. We also need a sell signal in pretty much all the time frames. So this right here, guys, it would technically be a momentum scalp if we had a sell signal on the 5 and 10. We have a sell signal over here on the 5, but we don't have a sell signal here on the 10. So Vince, if you look over here on the 5 and 10 now, you can see how price is now below the pivots and the trend meter is now angling down. So at this point, you could possibly be looking for sells if they did come up. But I mean, unfortunately, this one over here wasn't fitting that criteria. So that's why it's always important to have like pretty much all the charts open at the same time, at least the 1, 5, and 10, so that you can confirm, what the overall trend is, especially when price is going sideways like this. But if this, so say for example, you're here on the 5 minute and price is like way down here, right? And you're here on the 10 minute and price is like way down here. If that's the case, then you don't have to have these open, because price is not going to come up to the pivots within like one candle or two. The difference though is that when price is in between, like where it's currently at right now, it can easily shift within each candle. So just keep that in mind, guys. If the trend is super obvious, then go ahead and look at other time frames. However, if it's not, then you should probably just pull out, or probably not look to take any entries here and just have this one on max. Let's see. Maddie said initial rejection, he called hit full TP, or I called hit full TP. He held it and got out early. Nice, Maddie. Yeah, no, it's solid, Maddie. So Maddie took that rejection earlier and he pretty much just held it for a little bit and then he hit his TP. Yeah, the market here is still not moving as smooth as I like. I mean, it's only the 2nd of March, so we still got a lot of time ahead of us, guys. Just keep that in mind because if you guys have been trading with us during February, you guys know that the market was not moving smooth at all. Right now, it's still not moving smooth. You can tell here from the clean chart. You can't really tell from these here because it looks like price has been going down, right? I mean, it looks like it could be going down. However, if you look over here on the clean chart, you can see that there's not really much direction, right? Like typically when the market opens, when we get a smooth direction, price already chooses its way. So it'll drop below, retest, and continue dropping. This is how the market should be moving. It shouldn't be coming down, coming all the way back up, and then coming back down, you know, because this is kind of what's happening right here. It's just going sideways. It's a big range. Price will push up, go down, push up, go down, go back up, etc. This is like how it's been pretty much all February, which is like the worst type of markets traded. These are like summer conditions. Generally, you want price to go either down, you know, something like that, or in the opposite direction, up. But we're not really getting that right now. As you guys can see where price is currently at, it just keeps pulling back to opening price. So if price continues to move like this, since we have a sell bias over here, I would like this is something that I would look out for is I would look for price to push up and then look for a reversal pattern at this point, right? When price gets above opening price here, look for some sort of reversal pattern up here because odds of it coming back down to retest opening price is very likely. So just be careful. I mean, that's all I can say, guys. Just be careful with the market today and for this week because it's still technically the last week of February. So the reason why I'm saying this is the last week of February is because NFP doesn't happen until next month, or sorry, next week. So once you have NFP, that's like the first week of that, first official week of that month. And right now we're technically still in February because this is February week 5, I believe. And the whole month of February has been pretty much trash. So I think, yeah, just be as conservative as possible during this month. And then next month, hopefully we'll have more opportunity to take better entries because we'll have more confluences and direction with regard to our entries. But it looks like right now there's just not much of it going on. See if there's anything over here. So let me scroll up real quick. Natasha said, I took a high-low quick scalp on the 5 and pulled out because it hit my TP, but didn't pull me out of the trade. Yeah, probably because of the volatility right here, Natasha. The spread right now is not too bad. It's 190. I mean, it's actually a little higher than usual, but it's probably the liquidity and the volatility because it probably pushed up, pushed down, hit your TP, and then it just spiked up right after. All right, so now that price is above the opening price right here, I would probably look for some sort of reversal pattern if you're looking for something speculative, because I do expect price to come back down to opening price. Like you can see how price is above here. See if I turn on the high lows. All right. Yeah, I know, Maddie. 1000%. All right, so there's a couple areas here where you can possibly see a rejection. I just turn on the high lows to see where the structure's at. But yeah, this is the clean chart. So guys, now that we're done with the February mentorship, we're probably going to start moving towards looking for people to mentor for the prop firm, right? the key criteria for the prop firm guys is that you guys follow direction. So if you guys are talking to any of the mentors, just make sure that you guys are following directions. If you guys are telling the mentor you're going to do something and you do something completely opposite, you're probably going to be ruled out as a candidate. So just keep that in mind, guys. Because I know some of you guys have been reaching out to the mentors and you guys have been telling them your trading plan, but we get on the live and you guys are doing something completely opposite, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. If you guys want to be considered, because we are very limited. Everyone's limited to like 1 or 2 mentees. So just keep that in mind. We're probably going to keep scouting until like sometime in the summer. And then from there, when the market starts to slow down a bit, we'll be able to really focus on the mentorship. So just, keep that in mind, guys, when you guys are doing that, because the last thing you want to do is burn a bridge with a person that's supposed to mentor you, because that's like the person that's going to be working with you. So if you like burn that bridge, then it's going to be really hard to get another spot unless someone else decides to give you a shot. All right, so let me see if there's anything else over here. Maddie said 30-minute bottom wick. Yeah, so as you guys can see over here on the 30-minute, the 30-minute is bouncing off the bottom wick right there, like Maddie mentioned. There's also a rejection over here off the 1 hour as well. But there's not really much of a direction like what Maddie said over here. So if I maximize the 30 over here, there's a bottom wick rejection, but there's also a top. So the price could really have gone, in either direction from here. All right, so price is back above. I mean, if this is the case, this is fine. If price continues to push up higher, then we can shift our bias from a sell to a buy. Right now, looking at the 1 minute, 5 minute, 30-minute, 1, 5, 10, 30, and 1 hour, looks like price is attempting to shift to the upside. The 2 hour over here is still bearish, but I mean, if price continues to push up higher, then that might be a shift in direction. If that's the case, then that's perfectly fine, because we just want to have some sort of direction here, right? We can see prices at the resistance right here, right now. It's pretty much having a really hard time getting past it. All right, so price blasted right through it right there. Let's see if it actually holds or if it fakes out. Because price might just push up a little higher, and then maybe it'll reject off that point and come right back down. Yeah, Maddie, so there's no direction right now. So it looks like a fake out right here. If that fakes out, price might just come down from where it's currently at. Man, this market still sucks. I was hoping like once it hit March 1st, market would start moving directional, but it still isn't moving directional at all. The good thing here is that we do have bullish momentum on the 1, 5, and 10. So if we do get any entries for a buy, then that could be okay. The only problem is that we want it to actually stay up there, right? So looking over here on the longer time frames, I think the main thing to be careful for would be the 2 hour, because the 2 hour right here is still rejecting off the pivot. But if the 1 hour over here confirms and closes above it, then it's likely to continue pushing up higher. US30 is super frustrating. Okay, so price rejected off this point here. There goes a fake out. Price is correcting back down. I don't know, possible price point for it would be like opening price down there, maybe. If it ends up coming down lower, I think it'll come back down. Yeah, it looks like it. So we still have that sell bias. As I mentioned before, long-term sell bias is still a sell right here. So that's why I'm saying like there's no confirmation of price really reversing up. Price might just come back down right here and then retest the opening price, which it did. So as you guys can see, this is a clean chart. This is like, there's a lot of wishy-washiness in the market where price doesn't have a direction, right? I do the structures over here because I went to the high lows and I was looking for price where it may possibly reject off. and it rejected directly off that point that we were just looking at. But realistically, this is where market opened, right? This blue line right here. So if you're looking at it from a top, like basically an overall perspective, market hasn't gone anywhere. Like literally price came up, faked out, came back below, faked out, came up, faked out right here, came back below, faked out. And it's just a bunch of fake outs, right? But the main thing that you want to look for is like, where's price moved from opening price? So market opened here at 630. It's like we're 37 minutes into the market and price has not gone anywhere. If you measure where price has moved from right here, it's barely up like 100 pips. Like think about if you're like a long-term, or not a long-term, but maybe say an entire intraday trader, right? Where you're holding it for the entire session, you basically haven't made any profit at this point because price is literally pushed up just a little bit. Typically if you're an intraday trader, or not even an intraday trader, like even a swing trader, by the open of market, you typically want a direction set. So like, for example, if you're an intraday trader and you're looking for a movement like this, the reason why you're looking for this is because you want to move your stop loss and profit, right? Say, for example, you enter a sell here, price pushes down, move your stop loss and profit, price pushes down lower, you move your stop loss and profit. You can't do that because price isn't doing anything right now. The market's fine for us right now if you're scalping, but for majority of traders out there, there's just not really much for us to look at. Let's see, question from Eunice. Eunice is asking, is there a potential momentum variation? So technically there was, Eunice, but it was right at news price. So this is the entry that Eunice was referring to. So we had a momentum scalp right here, or sorry, a momentum scalp failure right here, but there's not really much of a direction, right? Like we could kind of assume that price here is bullish across these time frames. But if you look over here, I mean, realistically, it's really hard to tell if there'd be a momentum scalp failure there. The other thing here that would be a red flag is the fact that price was right at news price. So we wouldn't have taken that there for a momentum scalp failure. But the question that Eunice was asking is if this would be a momentum scalp variation, because price did close back above the pivots over here. Sorry, thanks, Martha, for confirming that. So Martha, thanks. Martha, you're really catching on, and that's a good thing. So Martha here knows what to look for. This right here was actually not a momentum scalp failure because the volume here was above average. So thanks, Martha, for calling that out. But from what Eunice's question was whether this entry right here would have been a momentum scalp variation. So this right here technically would have been one, but it was right at news price, so that'd be a red flag. Right, when to avoid trades when prices near news price. But yes, you were correct, Eunice. This here would be a momentum scalp variation. I mean, it's hard for me to tell right here because, the first requirement is to confirm the overall trend. And it's really hard for us to confirm the overall trend right now because price just keeps going back and forth. So for pretty much all the strategies, first requirement here is to confirm the overall trend, right? Looking over here on the 6 time frames, you can see that price is somewhat bullish, but it's not very strong. So, I mean, yeah, if you wanted to take a riskier entry there, for one, we wouldn't take it because of the red flags. But if you were taking it and not considering the red flags, then, obviously odds of it pushing in that direction are very, it's likely, but it's a bit risky because we just don't have an overall direction here. Right now, currently, the overall trend is bullish, but we don't know if this is actually going to hold up. Like in order for us to confirm that, we need price to actually be above here and stay above here. There's just a lot of areas here that are considered red flags, right? Like again, right here, prices at the sessions. Let's go back here to the clean chart. I'll draw out that structure again. So we got that structure right there. Then we got that structure right there. Actually, this structure was already invalidated. We got price over here again. Let's see if it comes back down from this point. So, all right, let's take another look at the time frames right here. So let's start with the higher time frames. So starting off with the higher time frames over here, you can see that the 2 hour over here is pretty neutral. 1 hour over here is attempting to switch to a bullish confirmation. And then same with the the 30-minute over here. So price is now above the pivots on the 30-minute and the 1 hour. The 2 hour over here is right in between the pivots. So this is neutral. So we'll say on the higher time frames, it's bullish neutral. Looking over here on the shorter time frames, the 10-minute, 5-minute, and 1-minute time frames, it is currently bullish right now, right? It's bullish for the time being, but it's really hard to tell if this is going to hold because price keeps going back and forth between the pivots over here. The trend meter is green though, so this might be a indication that price is starting to shift to a bullish trend. However, we can't really confirm that until there's any confirmation that price actually stays above. Another thing is that price is right at the sessions right there. Not exactly a good area to trade in. We'll see if this here ends up holding. Let's see, question from Vince. Vince is asking, would the 710 candle be a momentum scalp? I mean, technically it would, but it wouldn't be in my book because it's right at the sessions. So it'd be considered a red flag right there. I mean, this whole month has been a red flag. If you guys have been following us for February, there hasn't been too many entries because like either price will have entries and then it's right at like all these red flags, either news price, sessions, or opening price, or there just isn't much direction. I think it's probably the main factor here. The main factor is that there hasn't been much direction at all. Like we've been looking for entries here, but then price just keeps coming back and forth and then it just keeps staying in one area. So here's a clean chart as price pushes back up higher. All right, price is pushing up a little stronger right now. So this is a good sign that price is likely to shift to a bullish trend. If this is the case right here, then this is perfectly fine. We can start looking for some buys. I mean, yeah, it looks like it might be the case here. All right, great. So if that's the case here, I'll be looking for price to retrace down slightly and then correction after it, right? So price is pushed up, correction, continuation. See, Kenny sent me a link over here. What did Kenny send me? Oh man, I thought you sent me a link for America's Got Talent, Kenny, because that background right there, it's like super colorful. I thought this was like a TV show, but it says GOP senators Blackburn, Cruz, and Vance speak at CPAC. All right, so we got something going on in politics, but yeah, there just isn't too much for us to take away from that. All right, so price is now above the pivots. I mean, we'll see if price ends up staying above here. If it is, then great. We'll start looking for some buys, but at the moment, we just don't have anything to look at right now. I mean, it looks like price is starting to look bullish though, so that's a good thing. Yeah, we got that wick rejection there on the 5. So I'd probably look for the 1 minute here to retrace down a little bit and reject off the pivot. Actually, there's one right there. This candle I just closed looks like it barely rejected off the pivot. So price might push up from where it's currently at right now, at least a little bit. Slight rejection right there. All right, so if price stays up, great. If not, then we just got to wait for this to choose its direction. It's like right at that resistance, that's why. So it's a little difficult to determine if it's going to hold or if it's going to pull back below. All right, so looking at current price right now, guys, it looks like we do have some sort of a bullish bias. So if that's the case, we're looking for a sell signal to come up next. Once we get that sell signal, it'll be a momentum scalp failure entry. And then after that, if price swings back above, it'll be a momentum scalp variation. And then if we get a buy signal after that, it'd be a momentum scalp. So looks like we have some sort of direction here. I mean, it's not super strong, but it is looking like we can probably start looking for some buys here if that's the case. Let's see. Let's see, question from Nuwan. Nuwan's asking, in live sessions, I see very little opportunities, but every day I see people posting the trades. Are they strictly following rules or are they improvise your strategy? So it's a little, they're following rules, but they're following different strategies. Nuwan, on the live session, we're only applying 3 strategies. You have the course, right? So if you look at the course, there's over 20 strategies there to apply. So there's a lot of other strategies that you can apply where they do work in these types of conditions. However, for the live sessions, we're only applying 3 strategies. So you think about it, 3 strategies out of like 20 or 25 strategies, there's going to be a lot more opportunities applying other ones. So for here on the live session, we're only looking at these 3 strategies: momentum scalp failure, momentum scalp variation, and momentum scalp, right? Those are the 3 main strategies that we're looking at. So that's pretty much what we're looking at here, but these entries aren't coming up because there's no direction of overall trend, right? This whole month of February has been choppy. So there hasn't been an overall trend pretty much all month. That's why there's very few opportunities right now. But when the market starts to trend again, which is going to happen eventually, and the market typically does trend, especially for US30 or YM, there will be more entries. There just isn't any right now because this whole month of February has been very choppy back and forth. So if you want to look at the other strategies, you have access to the course, so you can pull up any of the other strategies here. There's a couple of strategies that people use, like you've probably seen Jean's profits. He typically looks at the SR rejection scalp. This one right here, this one's good for a sideways market. So this is actually good for this type of market that we're currently in right now. This is one that Jean uses a lot. And then Maddie and a couple other people see they use the high-low scalp. This one right here. I mean, if you took a high-low scalp, this one came up right here. There's actually like 2 entries that came up right now. So I can just pull up right here. Just that one actually. So the candle closed above right there, and there'd be an entry there. So I mean, there's other strategies that you can apply, but you actually have to go and look in the course. There's an entry right there. Price broken, close above the high-low. That'd have been a full TP right there, like little to no drawdown. I mean, there's a lot of strategies there that you can apply. Some people still apply the V1 variations. There's a V1 variation right here. Double body rejection. You could have taken that for a sell. Full TP right there as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of different strategies, but you have to actually go and learn those, because on the live session, we're only focusing on the main 3, but there hasn't been any entries for those specifically. I mean, this market just sucks in general, let's be honest. I know the market will pick up and it'll be better with time, but I think, right now specifically, there's just not much for us to take. Unfortunately, I was hoping this market would pick up. I think it'll pick up next week, but it's still technically the month of February. Month of February has not been great to us at all. It's been very choppy. And I mean, there just hasn't been much direction. If you look over here on the clean chart, so here's a clean chart. There's not really much to look at here, right? So if I was to assume where price is going, I think price will probably go back to opening price right here. That's always going to be the target price point because there's no direction. If there was direction here, then I would expect price to continue pushing up higher. But I mean, there just hasn't been that. Let's see. And there we go. See where price is going? It's going right back to opening price. So now looking back at this here, there's still no direction. As you guys can see, the overall direction here. So if you look at the 2-hour, I've been saying that this is going to be bearish pretty much all day today. And where's it at? It's still bearish. Right. The 30-minute over here has no direction. You can see the huge wicks on both sides. Price is now coming right back below the pivots. Same with the 1-hour. It's just not a great market to trade in at all. Yeah, Natasha said the V1 on the 5-minute hit. Solid. Thanks, Natasha, for the heads up. Yeah, if there's any questions, guys, feel free to put your questions in the chat. But I mean, as you guys can see here, I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. There's no direction. So it's hard for us to take trades here because typically if we're taking trades here. We've been looking for sells pretty much all morning, but the shorter time frames over here are not staying below the pivots. They just keep swinging up. So this is difficult because the shorter time frames are bullish, or they were trying to be bullish, and the longer time frames over here are still bearish. So they're like complete opposite of each other. And then we got news coming up over here in 8 minutes. Thanks, Vince, for the heads up. Question from Barack. Barack's asking, may I ask, from the 6 charts, you're specifically looking at momentum and price rejection from the pivots? I mean, not necessarily. We're just looking at it from an overall view, Barack. So, I mean, yeah, those are little things to look at. We're not looking at momentum or pivot rejections. We're looking at just how the market's moving, right? Because you can just take a bird's eye view. You don't even have to look at the pivots or look at anything here. You can see here on the 2 hour, it's bearish, right? 1 hour is neutral, 30 minutes neutral, 1 minute's neutral, 5 minutes bullish, 10 minute here is also bullish. So, I mean, you can just take a look at it at a glance and you can see where price is going. Typically what I'm looking for on here is I'm looking for direction. So if price is going down on pretty much all 6 time frames, then, you know, it's probably bearish. If price is going up, then opposite, we're looking for it to be bullish, right? But you can see over here on the shorter time frames that it's just a lot of trickiness going on. You can see price came above. So market open here at 630, right? Price dropped super heavy, came back above, came back below, came back above, came back below, and now it's coming right back above. So yeah, it's I feel like today's market is probably one of the worst I guess directions in like the entire month of February. I thought like earlier February is worse, but right now the shorter time frames are like they're super messy because there really is no direction here. I mean, we've been looking for this to like choose to go up or go down, and right here the choppiness has just been super messy. It's probably a lot easier to see here on the and there we go. So my markup right here, guys, I marked up that price was going to come down and test opening price. That's exactly what happened. Price came back to opening price here, faked out, and now it's back up here. This might be a V1 variation. Turn the high low. Yeah. So there's a double body rejection right there. If this here closes, price may continue dropping down, or I mean, who knows? Yes, there's a double body right there. That's a reversal pattern. And there it goes. Price drops lower from this point. So price continues dropping. Of course, target price point again is going to be opening price right here. All right, so I'm hoping like one of these like chooses it starts to make up its mind, because the 30-minute over here was just below the pivots. Now it's back above it. Same with the 1 hour here. I mean, realistically, if you look at it, price is just ranging. It's in a big range right now. So there we go in the clean charts. Price continues to drop down lower. But there's just nothing going on here. It's like so annoying. Like I wouldn't care if price was up here because I'd start looking for buys, and I wouldn't care if price was down here. But the thing is, price just keeps pushing up. It fakes out and it comes right back to opening price. And then vice versa, price comes below and then just pushes right back up to opening price. I think overall price will be a sell, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of fake outs here happening. Maddie said Sean's John indicator. Uh-oh. All right, so let me see the profits over here that you guys have posted so far. I haven't taken any trades yet, guys. I'm like patiently waiting for something to come up, but it's just nothing's coming up. And I'm trying my best not to get any FOMO here, because I'm like tempted to take these sells. Like when I see price come back below, I'm tempted to take a sell and just write it down. But I know it's too risky of a move. There's not even any entries that are available right there. And also, if I was to take a trade for a sell, I'd be going against the overall trend. The overall trend here is still bullish on the shorter time frames. So I personally wouldn't really be looking for a sell here. right, let's go over here to this chart. There's a big, huge buy signal right here. This could and would technically be so there's two entries right here. Let me just show you guys real quick. Yeah, this right here would be okay, let me just show you real quick. This right here would have been a momentum scalp variation, but we would not have taken that trade because it's right at the session. That's a red flag. And then this buy signal over here would have been a momentum scalp entry. But again, we wouldn't take this trade here because there's a red flag right here, right? There's the Asia high. And then down below here, there is a London high that it's touching. So two red flags. It didn't close with the buy signal, so no entry there. We have news coming up right here in about 2 minutes. Here's some profits from you guys so far today. Kenny over here, total profit of 1,240 for the day. Nice work, Kenny. We have Slava over here, total profit of 2,015 for the day. Nice work, Slava. Sit in and out, quick moves. We got Vincent over here, nice profit, Vincent, 75 for the day. Full TP on that one. We got Maddie over here, total profit of about 1,000 for the day. Nice work, Maddie. Yeah, he took one trade, made about 1,000 on that. We have Barack over here, earlier profits, 1,140. Solid work right there, Barack. Barack made a couple more profits here, 1,670. Solid. And then Barack's profits over here. He took one loss, but he made one right back. So total profit of 585 for the day. So not bad, Barack. Okay, so here are the documentation of Barack's entries today. He took strategy 2, full TP, strategy 1, full TP, strategy 1 with pivot rejection, full TP, and then strategy 3 over here. He's thinking about dropping this strategy because it's not really that great. So not bad. Solid profits there, Barack, with your move so far. Here's Natasha, total profit of 660 for the day. Nice work, Natasha, all wins. Yeah, no, definitely. Vincent said been gone a while, but he's back now, trying to get used to everything again. Practicing demo first, a total profit of 75. Yeah, not solid, Vincent. You know, take your time. There's no need to rush it. All right. Zach over here said, done for the day. Thank you. Zach over here, man, Zach's been on a crazy winning streak. For today, he's up 4,201. Great work, Zach. Yeah, so Zach's been killing it. If you guys have seen his profits every day, he made 4,000 today. He made 9,000 yesterday. He made 7,000 before that. He made 4,000 the day before that. So every day he's been on a pretty hot win streak. So solid profits right there, Zach. We have Vincent. Yeah, this is Vince over here. Vincent locked in a total profit of 104 for the day. Nice work, Vincent. So the trade that Vincent took over here was this buy. He saw price swinging above it right here, took that trade, full TP. Nice work, Vincent. Here's Dejan. John's currently up 855 for the day. Nice work, Dejan. Full TP on that one. So another disclaimer for a lot of these entries, guys, is that some people here are just taking trades off my analysis. Like, for example, whenever I tell you guys, okay, price is probably going to come down and retest the sessions, right? Or to retest the opening price. That's typically where people are taking trades. They're just taking trades off my analysis. Looks like we're starting to get more of a direction here. So let's see if this break and retest confirms. If it closes below the zone here, then it's probably not going to confirm. It's probably just going to keep coming back down. So price pushed above here, retested, came back above here, retested. So we'll see if this happens here, if price bounces off this, or if it comes back below from where it's currently at. Right? There's just there's a couple different scenarios here that can play out. So let me scroll down a little further. Kenny over here, 1,240. Barack over here. Perfect. Eunice hasn't taken any trades either. So we're in the same boat, Eunice. Both of us haven't really taken anything today. Yeah, I mean, we're just sitting tight. I don't really trade during Asia anymore either, guys. So I don't trade during Asia because the volume is too low. So I'm pretty much just taking trades here with you guys on the live again, like how I used to before. Sometimes I'll take trades after the session, but for today, I'm not going to be taking trades. I think if the market starts to move directional, then I'll start taking trades. But I think at the moment, I'm going to hold off on taking anything. So let's see some profits over here from C-Soup, total profit of 2,500 for the day. Nice work, C-Soup. And C-Soup more profits, 3,100, all wins. And I think that's it for right now. Yeah, Martha hasn't taken any trades either. So it's all good. Brock said, done for the day. Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate it. Definitely, Brock. No problem. Yeah, Frederick said, Brock, it's impressive that you've listened, or maybe you're just tired of losing. Yeah, no, it could be a little bit of both, right? Yeah, you found a lot of consistency here. So the thing with Barack, guys, his issue is that he was over trading or he was just revenge trading. I told him to document every trade. He's been documenting every trade here. So, I mean, pretty much every day he's been identifying, you know, where his pros and cons are, and he's been doing pretty good. So great work, Barack. You just keep documenting your trades and then figure out where you're making those mistakes so you can stop making them. Frederick said, I trade Sean's setup, but my wife doesn't agree with me on sharing profits. Paranoia. Yeah, no, I feel you, Frederick. I mean, if I didn't need to share my profits, I wouldn't share them either. I only share it because, you know, I show you guys what I'm doing here on the live session so I can be transparent. But yeah, if I was trading and if I didn't need to show you guys my profits, I wouldn't, because there's just no need. I'm not here to show off to you guys. I'd rather have you guys show your own profits, and then that'll be the proof of concept, right? Because if you guys are listening to my analysis and you see people here profiting every day just based off my analysis, then obviously something here works. Because I can show you my profits and that's not going to prove anything, because obviously I'm going to profit. But if you see other people in the group profiting, that basically proves that, you know, what we're doing here actually does work. Because I feel like that's like a big thing in the trading space. You know, you'll see a lot of big traders trade and they'll make huge profits and they'll make crazy profits like 100K days, but you look in their group and nobody's profiting. So it's like, does this really work? It's better to show other people succeeding off your analysis and off your teachings rather than, you know, yourself just showing off. That's just the way I see it. Let's see. Question from Vincent. Vincent's asking, wouldn't it be a momentum scalp failure at 718? Let me check real quick. No, because it's touching the sessions right here, Vincent. So I don't know if you have the sessions on your chart, Vincent, but like there's a lot of red flags that are on here. So if you turn on the red flags over here, this will, I mean, if you want to just open it and put it sticky somewhere on your screen or something, these are just the things to look out for. If price is too close to like basically red flags, when to avoid trades. When price is near sessions, near opening price, near news price, etc. All of these red flags are all of these horizontal lines. So any of these lines that go left to right on my screen are red flags. If price is too close to it or if it's touching it, then it's going to trigger the red flag warning and there can't be an entry there. So no, this wouldn't be an entry here because it's right at the red flag. Yeah, no, you're fine, Vince. Yeah, so Vince said, yeah, I have it, but I think you said it was a momentum scalp variation. Yeah, so there was another momentum scalp variation that happened right after, right here, Vince. So this here is a momentum scalp failure, but there was a red flag. And then right here, this green candle that closed above the pivots, that'd be a momentum scalp variation. But again, it's right at the session, so it wouldn't be an entry for us to take. I mean, either of these would have hit though. I don't know if this one here would have hit. For this one, you'd have to use a 2550. This one wouldn't have hit, but this one right here next to it would have hit. You'd use a 2550 on this one as well because the candles are so big. So this one over here would have hit. I typically don't take the momentum scalp failure because I think that's the riskiest one out of three, but the momentum scalp variation typically hits most of the time. Let's see. Vince is asking, can you go over why it's a momentum scalp variation? That one confuses me a little. Okay, so I'll put the criteria over here. There's no entry right now, guys, so just don't worry, we're not missing anything. So the momentum scalp variation. So first you want to confirm the overall trend, right? We already confirmed that it's bullish. Second, you want to confirm momentum aligns on the 5 and 10 minute time frame. So looking over here, we have a buy signal and we have a buy signal here on the 5 and 10, right? So with that said, that's going to be step 2. For step 3, you want to confirm retracement momentum signal on the 1 minute. So let me just replay this to this candle here. So step 3, confirm retracement momentum signal. That's going to be this red momentum signal right here, right? That's going to be step 3. Step 4, you want to confirm price close past the pivots in retracement. So price here is bullish. We have a bullish bias. Price has retraced below the pivots right here, right? So this is now going to be step 4 because price is retraced down below. That's going to be step 4. Step 5 is you confirm price close past the pivots in correction of overall trend. So when price closed back right here, in order for it to correct back up, it needs to close right back above the pivots, right? That's what happened with this candle right here. So step 6, you enter on the close of the candles. That's why this right here would have been the entry. So there's 2 different TP stop losses you can use. You can use 130, but that's too small because if it retraces back a little bit, it's going to come and hit your stop loss, right? So you use a 2550 instead. 2550 right there because this will allow you to have some retracement, but then it'll come back up and hit your TP. So that's where the setup was right there. If you would have let the trade run, would have retraced down a little bit, and then eventually blasted right through the TP. So that's why that would be a momentum scalp variation. And this is the one that I typically take. So whenever I take an entry, it's usually going to be this one. And then sometimes it'll be the momentum scalp right after, because it usually happens right after it. All right, so I would have taken this here, would have hit my TP. And then there's another one right here, but it's too close to the session. So that would have been a red flag for me. So right here, that's too close. You know, it'd have to hit the sessions before it hits my TP. So I wouldn't have taken that one. And then even if you went for the higher TP stop loss, it's even wider. Yeah, no problem, Vince. I know it's kind of confusing for you because you're barely coming back. But yeah, and once it starts to make sense and click, it'll be a lot more easier for you to follow. There's a pending momentum scalp failure right here, guys. The candle closed at the last second, so it was very last minute. I don't think it's one that I would personally take, obviously. You guys saw how that closed right there, right? Maddie was waiting for it. And it disappeared, and then it just reappeared right there again. The one entry that might be coming up right here, yeah, Maddie said it looks nasty. The one entry that we could be looking for here, guys, is if price closes back above the pivots. That'd be a momentum scalp variation, right? So putting up the requirements for that again, you just want to make sure it's not touching any of the red flags. All right, so momentum scalp variation right here. Let me check the other time frames real quick. Bullish, we're good. Okay, so if we get price closing above the pivots over here, this is technically going to be a momentum scalp variation. This is one that I'll probably take with you guys. Let me see if I could find it here. All right, so I'm basically just waiting for this here to close above. If it closes above, then great. If it doesn't, then we're just gonna have to wait. But it's 741 right now. Kind of looking for price to reject off the pivots and then push back above. If it pushes back above here, then I'll be looking for that to close above the pivots. Volume here is starting to die down a little bit, so we might have to go for the 1030. Yeah. All right, so I'm pretty much just waiting for this here to swing back up. I just want to make sure it doesn't touch the sessions down here. That's probably gonna be the worst. Eunice is asking if it's going to be, no, it'd be a 1030 because you can see like there's no retracement here, right? Price is already at the bottom. I mean, if price ends up coming up above here, Eunice, then maybe it'll be 2550, but I still wouldn't have taken it because it would have to cut through the sessions up there, and that'd render it a red flag. So like I think the 1030 would be best. So price never came back up right here. I mean, we're still waiting for it. Price can come up at any moment, but we'd have to use a 1030 on this one, Eunice, because of the never mind, I take that back. Price is now back below super far, so price might be shifting again. So again, as you guys can see, there's no direction here. Unfortunately, it's just the same thing we've been dealing with pretty much all month. I was hoping prices would bounce off this area, come back above, and then close above here so that we can take entry, but you know, obviously that didn't happen. All right, back to the drawing board, guys. There's no entries for us here, unfortunately. Maddie said, I'm gonna head out. Market's got me sleepy and drained. I know it's got me like super lazy too, because there's nothing for us to take here. I was hoping we'd get that one entry. I was like really excited that this entry was gonna play out, but then it never played out. All right, Maddie, we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right, guys, it's about 17 minutes till 8. If you guys have any questions or you want me to review anything, feel free to let me know. We still have a possible entry here for momentum scalp variation, but price is now touching the session, so it's not in a good area. We want price to not be touching the sessions and to close above. If price closes above, but it's touching the sessions, it's not going to be considered a valid entry because it's touching the sessions. But yeah, if you guys can see here, there's like obviously no direction. The 2 hour here is still bearish. The 1 hour here is neutral, trading between. 30-minute here is bullish, 10 minutes bullish, 5 minutes bullish, and the 1 minute here is swinging back down to bearish. So there's like really no direction here at all. You know, with regard to these timeframes, price just keeps going back and forth, and it's just not a great market to trade in, really. I think price will swing back up though eventually. I think it is at the sessions though, so it's going to be a little bit of an iffy time to make entry, but you know, I do think price will probably push up a little further from where it's currently at. So we got the wick rejection right here on the 1 minute, wick rejection here on the 5. We got a pending wick rejection here off the 10. Go back to this chart here, but there's not really much going on. As you guys can see, it just keeps rejecting off this area here. Obviously, we would want price to close above the pivots, but where price is currently at right now, not exactly the best time to take entry because it's right at the sessions. So what I need to happen here is I need price to close above it, and I need price to push up higher. And that'd be possible entry for a momentum scalp. For a momentum scalp variation. But it can't be touching the sessions down here. So there's not really much to look at here. Price just keeps going back and forth. All right. So we may get our entry here, guys, as long as it doesn't come down and touch the pivots below. I think we may still get our entry here. Never mind, it's touching the pivots again. I mean, it's touching the sessions. Man, this is trash. Daniel said, I think price will go up to the orange pivot on the 4 hour chart. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, no, I can see that. If price continues to push up, I mean, target price point on the 4 hour right here would be obviously the next pivot, right? So yeah, I agree with you too, Daniel. If price does continue to push up, the target price point will be the pivot up here. It'll just come up and test it. But we'll see. I mean, the way that the market's moving right now, there's no telling. I can't even like predict where market's going to go at this time, because the thing is, like, price keeps trying to go up and then it comes back below and then it comes back up and then it comes back below. Here we are on the clean chart. As you can see, price, I mean, if price does drop lower, it has a target price point. It's going to be opening price, how it's always been. but I mean, it's really hard to tell because price keeps going back and forth. Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult here to really assume. So the 30-minute here would have you know, a say as well, because you can see where it's currently at. The 1 hour here, if this ends up closing above the pivots, and I'm expecting it to possibly push up a little higher, but I mean, with where it's currently at right now, it's just not a good. It's not a good area for price to be at. 1 minute here is not really doing anything. It's just, actually, there's no entry that came up there. I was waiting for it to hopefully push above. So if it pushed above, we could take that entry for a momentum scalp or momentum scalp variation, but it just keeps, I mean, bouncing around this area here. Again, right there. This is why we don't trade at the sessions, guys. So here's another example and a reminder why we don't trade at these sessions and why we consider them red flags. Because you can see here that there's like really nothing going on, right? Whenever price gets to these areas, it starts to get manipulated and just goes sideways for a very long time. That's pretty much what happened over here. Got close to it, didn't actually get past it. And then pretty much what happened over here as well. Price gets near these sessions and then it just goes back and forth, back and forth. Again, pulls back up right here, back and forth, back and forth. Not really too much to take away from it. Song 6 membership for the group due to crappy February month. Man, I was really hoping February was going to be good because last year it was great. We made so much profit in February, and I was expecting it to be like that this year, but I don't know. That's how the market is, though. So that's the one thing that you guys got to understand about the market is that it's so unpredictable, right? And the thing is, you have to know how to adapt with the market. Like for me personally, I prefer to stay out of the market so I don't lose money. I always think that's the better route. If you know how to understand when the market's not really moving smoothly, it's better to just stay out of the market rather than hop in and then risk taking losses, you know, due to the conditions. And that's just the way I see it, because, you know, for me, I don't like losing very much, like anything really. So this here is like the ultimate test, right? I feel like trading is the ultimate test for a lot of people to like be real with themselves, because the market will humble you super quickly. If you think you're like the best at something, try trading, because trading is difficult and it changes almost every day. Let's see what else we got over here. Let's see. Glenn said price squeeze right before 8. I know, right? It's preparing for that breakout. I think wasn't there news at 7:30. Sorry, guys, I didn't even mark that up. Let me go over here real quick. So let me go over here and mark up the news event. I totally forgot to mark that up earlier. I mean, it wouldn't matter because there's been other red flags throughout the day anyway, so it's not really making a difference for us. So we got that right there, news price. Yeah, I mean, it didn't really make a difference for us. Let's see, question from Rem. Rem's asking, why do you prefer YM over ES or NQ? Well, I've been trading YM live on these live sessions for like 5 years now, so I pretty much know how it moves. You know, it's the same patterns that repeat themselves, at least when the market's moving directional. You know, I see ES as like YM's little brother. So, I mean, the main reason to trade ES is if you can't afford to trade YM, right? YM is a lot more volatile because it's less stocks. Like the YM has a 30 stock index, so it moves a lot quicker, versus ES, which is the S&P 500, where S has 500 stocks. So, I mean, if you don't like fast moving things, then yeah, I guess you could trade ES, but I like fast moving things because we scalp. So like a lot of our trades here happen within, you know, for a couple of seconds, if not a couple of minutes. So that's why I prefer YM over ES, because they're the same thing. It's like if you trade YM, you're basically trading ES. It's just ES is faster. I mean, YM is faster than ES because it's a tighter stock index. It's only 30 stocks versus 500. With regard to NQ, I actually don't mind trading NQ. It's just that it's hard to look at like YM and NQ at the same time, right? So for me personally, I like YM again because it's more volatile. Again, it's 30 stocks versus NQ, which is a NASDAQ 100 stocks, right? So when you have a 30 stock index, when one of those stocks moves, it creates volatility. So it's easy to catch scalps for this specific asset versus NQ, which it is volatile as well, but it's not as volatile. So I always consider them like, I mean, NQ is probably, if you're going to trade two, it would be YM and NQ, because they're different. NQ is tech stocks. YM is obviously, a general basket of the top stocks in the US. ES is just like the little brother. I don't really see any reason to trade ES if you're trading YM. Unless if you're too scared to trade in a volatile market, ES is a little less volatile. It's still volatile, but it's not as volatile as YM. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to all of them. But for me personally, and I think in general, if you can afford to trade YM, I would just trade YM. It makes more sense. But yeah, ES is a little more, I guess, smoother. I mean, if we were to pull up ES over here, you can see it's the same exact thing, right? The way that ES is moving is literally YM. It's just YM is a little more volatile. And you typically hit your TPs a lot faster. Fuck, I missed the trade there. Actually, so I missed the trade here for a momentum scalp. However, it was touching the sessions unit. So unfortunately, I personally would have skipped it. I don't know if you caught it or if anybody else caught it. This is one of the trades that we were looking for here. Well, I mean, there's two of them actually. So the whole setup that we were looking at was right here, but they were at red flags. So let me go over here and show you guys. So the momentum scalp variation, this is the one that we've been looking for, right? We were waiting for price to break and close above the pivots. However, it was touching the session, so that's a red flag. So unfortunately, even though this here is a valid entry, I wouldn't have taken it because it was touching the sessions. I'm going to go ahead and put the criteria here again for the red flags. Just a reminder, guys, this is optional. So you don't have to follow these red flags. But for me personally, over my years of trading, I always lose my trades around these areas. So whenever I take trades around these red flags, I always typically lose. So for me to avoid that from happening, I just don't take trades here anymore. So right here, this is a momentum scalp variation. We had an overall bullish trend. Price over here retraced with this retracement signal. Price closed below it, closed back above it right here. This would be the entry point. You'd go for a 10-30 split. However, because it was touching the sessions right there, it's one of my red flags, so I wouldn't have taken it. If you took that trade there, it would have hit TP. So it's just really up to preference. If you guys are okay with the risk, go ahead and take it. For me personally, I've lost too many trades around these areas, so I don't like taking trades around those areas at all. Again, right here, so this was a momentum scalp variation. Now we have the momentum scalp. Same thing, overall bullish trend. We have a buy signal right here. We have a buy signal over here on the 5 and 10. Everything lines up. If you were to take that trade right there for momentum scalp, again, it's touching the sessions below. So another reason why I wouldn't take it. Unfortunately, it does work. Fortunately, but unfortunately, it did hit its TP, but I wasn't able to take any of these trades here. So Brian took it. Natasha took it. Looks like a couple of you guys here took it as well. Yeah, exactly. Song said February was a test to see who was able to sit out or force trades. Yeah, I agree. This whole month has just been like, I mean, it sucks. It sucks because I was really hoping to make a lot of profit this month because I just kicked off my new 400K account, but it's just been super choppy. It's been sitting out for the most part. So I don't want to risk it. I also haven't even started using my full lot size. Typically, I'd be using a 200 lot size because it's two of my 200K accounts, but I've just been sticking to 100, which is fine. I mean, it's not horrible, but it would be nice. Let's see. Nuan said it's above volume. Which one are you referring to, Nuan? Because the volume doesn't matter for the momentum scalp variation or the momentum scalp. The only strategy that volume matters for would be the momentum scalp failure right here, which it did come up. I mean, the trade still would have hit. So there's 3 entries here that came up right here. They all would have worked out. So this right here is a momentum scalp failure. This right here would be a momentum scalp. That one would have also hit full TP. So if you guys were following the 3 strategies here that we only take on the live session, they all would have hit full TP. Momentum scalp failure, momentum scalp, and then momentum scalp right here. Yeah, so for the momentum scalp right here, if you're looking for volume above, this is actually a good thing. So this is beneficial. The only thing that you're looking for below average would be a momentum scalp failure, this one right here. The reason why you're looking for that is because you're getting momentum in the opposite direction. But since it's below average, this is just a correction back to the upside because you're looking for a buy anyways. So a volume above average here would be beneficial. That actually would be a good thing for a momentum scalp entry. So make sure that you guys understand like the differences between the strategies. I get a lot of questions regarding the volume here, but there's only one strategy that requires volume, which would be the momentum scalp failure. These two over here don't require volume. They'd be beneficial because you want volume to be in your favor, but they're not required for that specific strategy. All right, guys, unfortunately, we're getting close to 8 o'clock. There's not really much for us to take here. You can see that price finally chose its direction, but it's not really holding up there. It's kind of just going back and forth. Maria said, I better leave. I'm feeling FOMO. Yeah, probably best decision to do that, Maria. If there's any more profits that you guys have, unfortunately, I don't have anything to share myself because I didn't really take much today. Patrick over here said should really be at 4K, but the market's been super slippage with my broker today. Even my green tabs aren't showing up on TP. So Patrick's going to take his profits and run. He's in profit, a total profit of 1,672 for the day. Nice work, Patrick. We got Eunice over here. He took that momentum scalp. He didn't notice the sessions, but he took it anyways. Took a full TP right there. Total profit of 272 for the day. Nice work, Eunice. I mean, good patience though. You were able to like hold off on a lot of these risky moves here. Slava as well. He said, thanks, Sean. Have a good rest of your day. Definitely. Thanks, Slava. Total profit of 2,429 on Slava's account. All wins, no losses. And I think that's it, guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. It's getting close to 8 o'clock, about a minute away. Unfortunately, there were no official entries again today. I mean, this whole month has been so off. I'm hoping by like next week when the March week 1 starts, we'll have some more volatility. I mean, it looks like market's starting to pick up again, which is a good thing. The only problem is that, you know, we need to make sure that we stay safe and we stay conservative around times like this where there's no clear direction. So here is the clean chart. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. All right, perfect. So as you guys can see, market started to pick up its stride around this area right here once it retested, right? So price kind of faked out below here. And this is the direction that we want to see, but we want to see it to stay above, not actually pull below like it did here. So this is the pattern that we were looking for. I mean, this is kind of a messy pattern because it pulled back so heavily. Typically, you don't want this to pull back super far like that. But it still stayed in confluence, right? Because it's still higher highs being established each way. You turn on the high-low indicator, you can see here, high, low, high, low, high. This one over here dropped super low though. So this would be high, low. This would be the actual high. We'd skip these two. This would be the low, high, etc. So that's pretty much, you know, all that we got for today, guys. So, all right, it's 8 o'clock, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, Sean@KodiKaiTrades.com, or you guys can message me on Telegram. Unfortunately, this whole month has not been great. Not necessarily because we took losses, but just because there hasn't been too many entries. I'm expecting the market to move a lot smoother in March. So hopefully by next week, we have NFP and market will move a lot smoother for us to take more entries. Yeah, tomorrow's Friday, so just keep in mind tomorrow's gonna be a little bit risky. But other than that, guys, I'll see you guys back here for tomorrow's live session. So, all right, guys.